We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business. We're losing.
Diddy's empire now teeters on the edge after 50 Cent dropped explosive recordings that ignited the internet, sending shockwaves and fueling relentless speculation about what's coming next. All eyes immediately turn to 50 Cent, wondering what he's truly holding in reserve. As talks heat up around his upcoming Netflix docuseries, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, he hinted that the public has only glimpsed the beginning, with even more revelations ready to surface. According to 50, the story is far from over, and upcoming releases are poised to rewrite the narrative entirely, keeping everyone on edge and watching.
There's other stuff that you just have not shown.
Yeah, well, everything couldn't make the. Was 4 episodes.
Right.
So it was a lot. You had to pick and choose things. Like even in an area where he chooses to date people who he knows previously dated someone. He has a baby by a woman that was dating Tupac.
Wow.
To add to it, but we had to cut it down so we could.
For time.
Yeah.
So are you coming out? I know next year is going to be a number 2, season 2.
I just put it on YouTube.
I just put it on YouTube.
50 Cent has now teased that more Diddy-related recordings could drop publicly on YouTube, putting the content directly in the hands of millions online. But the real shockwave isn't just the potential of new footage, it's the emerging allegation that Diddy tried to sway a juror improperly, a claim that has ignited chaos across social media. As the story unfolds, fresh details about this accusation are starting to surface, and they could become the most explosive and damaging revelations yet, keeping the entire world watching in suspense.
Well, Diddy was recording because he thought he was about to beat the case. So he wanted to do a Netflix documentary. Didn't pay the guy, and then 50 got all 140 hours of footage of secret Diddy tactics. Well, there's a guy named Neil who was mentioned in the court, works right up under Diddy, was organizing everything. Allegedly, they are saying that he is on video, film, tampering with witnesses, giving out addresses, offering money, bribing, we'll pay for your lawyers, all kind of shit that could be counted as witness tampering, obstruction of justice. And 50, of all people, has his hands on this footage. And I'm hearing that this could implicate Diddy's lawyers in some bullshit. They could be charged. This shit is getting wild. And I'm hearing that this 50 Cent documentary is just the fucking tip of the iceberg.
This guy in this video said one specific name, and it was Neil, and it automatically made me think of Neil Dominique. Everything that we just covered the other day that came out from Diddy's former chef, Jordan, who was going to be a witness testifying against Diddy in the criminal trial. You remember she just took to her Instagram calling out Neil Dominique, saying that he was basically the one to give Diddy information that she was testifying to the grand jury. She has been claiming for a while when she testified to this grand jury on April 2nd of 2024, just 2 weeks later, Diddy's attorney would text her saying, "Dear Chef Jordan, this is Aaron Dyer. I'm Sean Combs' attorney. I left you a voicemail last week, but wanted to follow up. I have been told you have been contacted by law enforcement and might want an attorney to represent you." So that man in this video was basically saying that 50 Cent has video footage of Diddy talking to these people and setting this up to go after.
The most jaw-dropping revelation? 50 Cent is openly confirming it himself. After rumors began swirling, he revealed that he's sitting on a massive archive, claiming over 140 hours of recordings, and then made it official online with a single line. "Yes, I have the footage," instantly sending the internet into a frenzy. That admission alone shook the scene, but he didn't stop there. 50 Cent went even further, laying out why he chose to confront Diddy so directly, turning what once seemed like speculation into a deliberate, high-stakes showdown that keeps intensifying with every move.
So it's clear. I don't have any reserve, like the fear that they would actually have towards him. I don't think he's special.
Now, even those who once refused to appear in earlier documentaries are stepping forward, drawn by their trust in 50 Cent and freed from the pressure to stay silent. This shift speaks volumes, as voices that once stayed in the shadows are now coming forward, lending undeniable weight and credibility to a story that keeps gaining momentum and capturing the world's attention.
There's a lot of people in this docuseries that wasn't in the previous docs that you saw because they said, no, I'm gonna do that one because 50, that's gonna be the big one. Because I'm not scared of none of that. Like, I think it's just the way I was brought up. I don't really register those things. I've been through way more extreme things than these people. I look at the project. It's just another project to me, and they can look and create reasoning for it. It could be their personal take on why it's the way it is. But if they watch the docuseries itself, they'll understand it's been done tastefully, and it is the best version of a docuseries that you'll see on this. Well, he is a big part of the culture. Like he's a respectable. He made it to a respectable position within culture. Any smart person would pick their fights. And you say, I don't really get anything out of it. It's not my business anyway. So why say something about it? Like the docuseries is me putting together people who had different experiences and letting them tell their truth, right? And a lot of things come out that make clarity for you in a different way to it. But I only was comfortable saying stuff about him because I've been saying it for 20 years. I've said it since that day. I'm like, what? Nah.
A major breakthrough came when 50 Cent obtained footage from Diddy's final days before his arrest and formal charges, a revelation that instantly shifted the entire narrative. Witnessing that raw, unfiltered material was described as intense and profoundly unsettling, leaving no question about its impact. 50 Cent himself says that this moment became the turning point, elevating the project from a routine documentary into a serious, powerful expose that demands attention and can't be ignored.
That was really fascinating.
A journalist would ask that, but a journalist would also say, I'm going to keep my sources secure. But, but I got it, though. They can blame it on me. There's that. I think he's going to actually like the project. He's going to see that it was done fair, the perspective. Because he's going to see too many people or he'll be consumed by what his personal experience was with each individual that's saying things about him because he lived these things. She's going to understand it. You can interview her following that and I'll do the interview with her. I'll make sure I put it together. Yeah, because I had communications with her to understand it. What's going on, and even though she's not in the docuseries, it was important I spoke to her to understand how things transpired. The husband, I spoke to him away from her, separate individual communications, and then see things kind of match up. Like when people say things, I go, "Oh, okay, I hear what you said," but if you hear things multiple times from different people, it kind of rings true to you. He got old real fast. His hair was jet black. Like mine, and the next day he was like a full. All I saw from was the raccoon pictures from the courtroom. When they drew him, it was looked like a raccoon.
50 Cent has returned to the spotlight, armed with what he values most undeniable records, making it clear this isn't just rivalry, but a calculated, years-in-the-making exposure. He's emphasized that if you're not documenting events at this scale, you're not on his level, while highlighting why key figures close to Diddy once stayed silent. Having spent years quietly gathering material, 50 Cent chose the perfect moment to act. And now, with Diddy facing serious legal pressure and limited control over the narrative, attempts to challenge the project have failed. Even critics note that some past controversies, like those involving Anthony "Wolf" Jones, remain debated, adding more depth to a documentary that keeps growing louder, more powerful, and impossible to ignore.
And Kirk Burrows called me up. He's like, yo, Gene, you and Wolf, I got y'all tickets to LA. I said, all right, cool. So I go down there and I pick up the tickets to LA. I got Wolf ticket. So I'm calling Wolf up. I say, yo, Wolf, I got your ticket to go to LA. Wolf said, I ain't going. I said, what you mean you ain't going? He said, yo, Gene, I ain't gonna tell you how I'm making I ain't gonna tell you how to make your money, but I'm gonna let you know this. I told Puff them if they wasn't gonna take 2 tour buses of my niggas out there with us, I'm not going. Wolf is the head of all the functions that has to do with Puff dealing with security. I have my own contract with Puff, yeah. Paul Alford ran Green Gate Security, which is the daily operations of Puff stuff. That's his house, his cars, his transportation. He ran the office, the bad boy office, the clothing, all that shit. He ran the daily operation with his security. Wolf is over whatever's happening with Puff. You understand? Wolf tells Puff them and tell Kirksborough them, no, if y'all not going out there right, nobody should go out there at all.
Tragically, Wolf lost his life while carrying out critical duties protecting Diddy, a reality Gene Deal insists can't be ignored. He emphasized that the documentary entirely omitted this chapter, along with Wolf's broader influence and connections, leaving out crucial context that could change how the story is perceived. According to Gene, ignoring these details weakens the full picture, because Wolf wasn't just a background figure, he was central to the events, and his role and fate demand serious attention in any truthful account of what really happened.
Did not and was not going anywhere that had to do with California. And it wasn't because of the Jake situation. It was that he wanted to be safe, and the only way he felt safe if he was going out there with the dudes from his clique. And that was the Valley Mob. That's the only way. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And people they didn't even put that in the documentary. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And that bullshit was with BMF. That's a big segment in my book that I wrote that whole shit. I wrote a whole big situation in my book regarding that, man. And I know you're doing this. I want to say that right there because I was there the night that Meech had promised Puff, you know what I'm saying? He ain't had to worry about Suge Knight. He ain't had to worry about nobody from this point on. And telling Puff some shit like that made him think that he could talk to Wolf any kind of way. Because if anybody knew, BMF was powerful back then. They had dudes from everywhere. And Meech telling him he ain't have to worry about nobody no more. It made Puff think that he could tell Wolf that he didn't need Wolf no more. And one thing led to the next.
Gene's point is clear. Wolf's death wasn't an accident or a mere footnote. It was tied directly to industry power struggles and decisions at the top, demanding far more attention than it received. Meanwhile, Diddy and his family are reportedly considering a massive defamation lawsuit rumored to reach $1 billion. But as 50 Cent noted, proving the documentary false could expose them to even greater scrutiny. Legal pressure is mounting, with prolonged battles and constant representation quickly draining resources, even for someone wealthy, especially without fresh income coming in. Adding to the strain, Diddy now faces backlash over allegations that he secretly recorded private conversations with his attorney, a serious breach of trust that shakes the foundation of legal confidentiality.
He's represented Diddy for years, and his daughter is part of the Agnifilo defense team. And he was involved in all of this. So in this past weekend's podcast, I pushed him to find out how Agnifilo really feels here. And Mark kind of skirted it some, but I think you get the sense. Diddy knew that Mark was being recorded, but Diddy didn't tell Mark. Does Mark feel betrayed by Diddy?
I've not talked to Mark about it.
What do you think? What do you
I
think?
will tell you I'll just tell you, if it was me, I would be more than a little upset. I was more than a little upset when the client didn't know and I was being recorded. I mean, there was a while there where I was meeting clients under bridges, freeway bridges, because I was PTSD over it. So I think, as a lawyer, it is one of the most inviolate oaths that you take to protect the client confidentiality and the client privilege. So I don't know. I haven't talked to Mark, but if I were Mark, I would be out of my head.
Out of my head.
It's incredible. Diddy did two things here. Number one, he betrayed Mark Agnifilo, who, to your point, did so much for him. Obviously, without Mark Agnifilo, may very well be spending the rest of his life in prison. The second thing that he did is, by having a third party that's privy to the conversation, the videographer in this case standing there, there's no privilege, right? Diddy waived that entire privilege. Right. Now, it didn't end up backfiring because it seems nobody knew about it until the end of trial. And what are you going to do at this point? But it's such a callous act by Diddy to just sell out his lawyer like selfish. That. It's so selfish.
The series also features audio from a 2008 proffer interview with Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, currently awaiting trial for the 1,996 killing of Tupac Shakur, adding another intense layer to the story. A proffer, as explained in the documentary, allows someone to share information with investigators under limited legal protections, though it doesn't guarantee full immunity. In this recording, Davis provides a detailed account, claiming that Diddy played a role in orchestrating the attack in exchange for a large payment, a claim that has reignited fierce debate. While these remain allegations and haven't been proven in court, their inclusion dramatically elevates the stakes, turning the series from a cultural exposé into a gripping, unsettling look at unresolved history and long-standing accusations.
Officially on the stand for 20 minutes. She will continue on Monday, but before I tell you what she testified to, I do want to give you a warning that she does talk about violence and abuse. Started off with Dawn testifying that she was working with Diddy from 2004 until 2011. She opens up about an incident she witnessed in 2009 when she went to Diddy's home in order to record. She said her and Cassie were downstairs when they heard Diddy yelling and coming down saying, "Where the F are my eggs?" She said Diddy grabbed the skillet full of eggs and tried to hit Cassie on the head, and she went down in a fetal position. Was punching and kicking Cassie before he put his arm around her neck. Diddy then grabbed her by the hair and dragged her up the stairs, and she was in shock. She said she was so in shock she did not intervene, nor did she call the police. Next day, she said Diddy locked her and another person in the recording studio and threatened them. In her own words, he said what we saw was what lovers in passionate relationships do. He said Cassie was okay and it would be in our best interest if we didn't say anything. He claims that Diddy then said he was trying to get them to the top of the industry before threatening them by saying where he comes from, people go missing if they talk. Then after all of that, he got them flowers. Prosecutor then asked, "How did you understand that?" And she said, "Death." His attorney yelled objection, and then they had a sidebar. That's when attorneys from both sides will come up to the judge and whisper between one another and nobody else can hear.
If she witnessed, and she's saying that she witnessed a gangbang, which actually we know it as called a train. And she worked on the album, The Train to Paris. And like I heard one of the YouTube, it could be Tistel, say that we didn't know what the train to Paris meant. But now we know that the train of Paris was a train in Scotland, according to Dawn. It wasn't a train in Paris, it was a train in Scotland. Now, only time I ever witnessed Puff doing something is when two guys and two girls will go in the room. And that was just regular. And however they did it, whatever they did, that was their business. But he gotten bold enough, whereas that he would do that in front of Dawn and other people at a poolside in Scotland. You sure it was Scotland, man?
Yeah, that's what she said, man.
Scotland, Arizona, but not Scotland, the country.
Nah, she talking about the country, man.
Wow. I just think that, man, you got to go back to the drugs and the alcohol, man. The drugs and the alcohol, man. And those things that make you do strange things. And for somebody to, somebody to just gang banging an assistant, she might have a lawsuit now too. She might have a lawsuit too. Because you can't do that to people that work for you, bro.
Does this prove Diddy's guilt? Not at all. A single interview or proffer cannot establish responsibility or confirm wrongdoing, but it adds context when considered alongside other statements and evidence. Accounts from those accused of involvement don't serve as definitive proof, yet they become pieces of a larger puzzle that investigators, journalists, and the public continue to analyze as the broader story gradually takes shape.
Yeah, and he even said that, like, in retrospect, that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Puffy. By Zip stealing the money, now Puffy isn't connected to that shit. Or else it would have been like a murder for hire or something, you know what I'm saying?
The FBI said Zip.
So the FBI told you the same
he was
thing?
a dirty motherfucker, yeah.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as well?
They said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody crossed you. You're the last one to know every fucking thing. Even lawyers, your friends.
The documentary also dives into Diddy's early life, examining his upbringing, his relationship with his mother, and key personal connections that shaped his journey, some marked by serious challenges and allegations. It explores his mindset and behavior as he climbed the music industry ladder, highlighting ambition, control, and calculated decision-making. Rather than leaning on rumors, this section illustrates how formative experiences and personal dynamics helped shape the persona and influence he wielded at the top of the industry.
What makes you say you lost your empire because of Puffy? Why you say that?
I did. Shit. If I wouldn't have never met him, I wouldn't have never been involved in this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? If I would have never met the brother, I wouldn't have never been involved in this bullshit. Really. Because me and Suge was playing on the same Pop Warner team and everything. My homeboys helped put Suge in the game and all that shit, you know? And it really crashed two people's empire that fucking one night. You know what I'm saying? Mine's for sure. Suge's too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man. So you feel like Puffy, he's the reason for your empire and Suge empire going down because of the whole situation with Tupac.
Exactly. He the only one still balling. Shit. Yeah, he made our shit go down, man. Yeah, I ain't even met him over. He won't even look out or nothing. You know?
So break that down, man, for the people out there that don't know the backstory. What did Puffy do exactly to break down y'all empires?
Because he pitted us against each other, seemed like he pitted us against each other. You know, which was kind of smart because we're Crips and Suge was Bloods. Like, you know what I'm saying? He just called me and Zip was rolling up Greenleaf one night. He called and asked, you think it's safe to come out here to do our concerts? And I just said, man, give me like 50 tickets to each concert and we'll be out there with you. We'll go with you. We went to the concert in San Diego, went to the concert in Anaheim, Irvine Meadows, and the one in Las Vegas with them. Yeah, and back then they was just a startup coming up. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really have no money like that. We were balling. We was bosses.
This is a young man who grew up with street-funded privilege. After his father passed away, it's very clear that his mother kept on hustling and kept hanging around hustlers. Tim Dog has described the parties in the house: pimps, hoes, hustlers, models, basketball players. You got that kind of crowd. There's got to be a drug dealer or so there. Alcohol everywhere. There was a stage built in the living room, and They were asked to perform as kids. I mean, like, this is how he grew up. It was almost if he was designed to throw the parties that we'll later hear about. From the white parties to the parties overseas, with very, 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 very interesting things happening there, all the way to the freak-offs. It's like Sean Combs was in a never-ending party his whole life. Now, from a boy being draped in chinchilla to a boy running around the streets promoting parties, interning for Andre Harrell before he got a paid position. I mean, his life was like a whirlwind. It was almost like he was in too much of a rush to grow up. I mean, even the way Andre Harrell said he bullied his way into his home, coming up with some story about a fight between him and Janice and how he couldn't live with his mom anymore. And the next thing you know, he's living with Andre. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. In my opinion, I do not believe they were just roommates. I do not believe this was just a mentor-mentee relationship. In my opinion, from rumors that I've heard, from some things that might have been lost along the way, there was a much closer relationship between Andre and Puffy.
The series also exposes a recurring pattern. Diddy repeatedly finds himself in high-risk, legally sensitive, and emotionally charged situations, yet somehow avoids lasting consequences, raising serious questions about why this cycle persisted. Taken together, these revelations don't frame a simple villain story, but depict a complex individual shaped by unresolved issues, power, and influence, who may have knowingly perpetuated harmful patterns affecting those around him. While these remain allegations, the portrait that emerges is one of controversy, accountability long delayed, and a system tested by the consequences of unchecked actions.